Welcome back. 3 films in, Brandon Cronenberg delivers us Infinity Pool. It's de rigueur when talking about Brandon Cronenberg to mention his famous father, David Lynch. But at this point, I'm starting to wonder whether or not we should be referring to David Cronenberg as Brandon's father rather than the other way around, because he's 3 for 3 as far as I'm concerned. This is another terrific film from him. He started with Antiviral, low budget but great. Moved on to Possessor, massive high concepts on a still relatively low budget but even better. And now he's moving up even further into the relatively speaking higher budget still realm of genre film with legit film star Alexander Skarsgård, but he's staying true to himself. He isn't selling out. He's not doing the Meg 2. Looking at you, Ben Wheatley. Anyway, this takes a lot of the themes of Possessor and moves them forward. Um, David Cronenberg's films, it's both fair and unfair to mention his father so much when talking about Brandon's films because it's impossible for him, first of all, not to have that surname and be compared, but second of all, it's impossible for him to make these films and not have been raised by David Cronenberg. They are dripping with themes that his father explored, with boundaries that his father's already pushed. He's very much his father's son. The acorn did not fall far from the tree in this case. Um, Infinity Pool itself shows the major difference between the two is Cronenberg is synonymous, probably the most famous director associated with body horror, whereas Cronenberg Jr., Brandon, is now 3 for 3 in terms of films that, yes, all have elements of body horror in them, but are much more about the human condition and, if you will, soul horror, if you will, psyche horror. What the inside is turning into rather than what the body itself was turning into. There are a lot of protagonists and indeed antagonists in David Cronenberg films who, if they could sort out their body issues, might have a chance. The characters in Brandon's films are all pretty much foobarred from the beginning. I won't go into too many spoilers on this because I think it's a film that very much should be experienced. So I'll give you the basic gist. Um, First of all, Mia Goth. Mia Goth from X and Peril and soon to be Maxine. She can do no wrong. She is in this and is absolutely sensational. Alexander Skarsgård I've always found to be a very passive protagonist in films. I don't think his small screen success has ever translated to the big screen terribly well, but it actually works for him here because he's got money through his partner, but he is relatively speaking an everyman who we're supposed to be able to see this bizarre world through his eyes. And at a certain point, decide where we want to jump off and see if we can no longer identify with him. It's quite an interesting experiment. And Alexander Skarsgård can very much play that. Whereas if you put him in a Hollywood blockbuster like Godzilla vs. Kong, he's completely lost. He's just generic Hollywood man. But here, he plays a part that I think Michael Fassbender would be the best casting for it, to be honest. But he does admirably here. He plays a writer. He and his partner are on holiday in an unnamed Eastern European country. We only know that it's luxury in the resort, but you cannot go outside the resort. There are crimes left, right, and centre, poverty all over the place, and blah blah blah. So they leave the resort. They meet this other couple, one of whom is played by Mia Goth, and they go out and have a good night. And on the way back, there's a drink driving incident, in which Alexander Skarsgård kills someone with a car. And again, this is all the first act, so I'm not going into major spoilers here at all, don't worry. He's taken to the police station the next day, where he discovers, and this is the setup for the movie. Really, this is where the movie really begins. That this small country have got no interest in locking up rich Americans and getting a bad reputation for their tourism trade. So they have a technology that's never explained. You just have to accept that it exists in this universe. That they can clone you, and the customs of this country, countries this, mean that the eldest son of whoever has been wronged can kill you, must kill you. That's the law to regain family honor. What are these Klingons? This is Star Trek all of a sudden. Anyway, they've developed this technology where they will allow you to pay for a clone to be made of yourself, and the clone dies in your place, and you get to waltz away scot free with the ashes given to you of your own clone as a souvenir. And that's very much the setup for the film. Um, we quickly realise that Mia Goth and her partner have been through the same experience, but Alexander Skarsgård doesn't look at it in an appalled fashion the way his partner does, and she's appalled at his lack of, well, being appalled. She wonders how he can fathom being okay with this, that making a sentient double of yourself and then just having him take the fall for you um, didn't even get him upset. So all the people that he starts to associate with in this community of extremely rich tourists have had their own doppelgangers made, and they live a debauched, ridiculously over the top lifestyle where they can basically do what they want to who they want, and whenever they do something that's illegal, they just get another clone of themselves made, and that takes the fall. It's a satire on, and it's not very thinly veiled. It's a satire on the rich, and how they think they can buy their way out of anything. But it's also a satire on people in general, and how far we allow ourselves to go to become animals again. How much does it really take for us to give in to our more base instincts? For some of us, we have a moral compass, like the partner who wonders how he can possibly be all right with this, whereas he is all right with it. So he only needed a little nudge to become animalistic, and the film itself is about the levels to which you can really push that and still call yourself a human being. They animalize these clones, and they animalize the people, the natives of this country, and it's all done in the name of the almighty dollar, because they can buy themselves out of trouble every time, and the authorities are happy to take their money. So it's a satire on the rich, on European or third world economies who are developing worlds, I should say, economies who are willing to take the money from rich economies to essentially buy their morals. And again, just a treatise on the human condition when it comes to what really makes us better than the animals, and how easily can that blame be broken and shattered. But it never feels like you're being preached to. And crucially, it's a very visual film. They don't go into a lot of the themes in detail. It's very much, unlike the film I reviewed yesterday when you watched this, Skink Marink. Skinny Malinky Longlegs, whatever it was called, which didn't show and didn't tell. This is a film which tells a little bit, but shows a lot, literally and figuratively. A lot of nudity as well, a lot of gore. Um, but it's a visual feast. It looks stunning. It's got the look of a Nick Winding Refn film. I was thinking specifically of Only God Forgives. It's got a lot of the visual palette of that film. It's a stunning looking film with reds and greens. A great soundtrack too, and great foley on it with just the sounds of everything around them. Um, Adding to a very claustrophobic and ominous feeling. It's quite chilling. I think it's it's 18 rated for strong bloody violence, gore, sex, and nudity. But what that doesn't mention is there's just a feeling about it of dirtiness and vapidness and the abyss at the centre of some people's souls, to go a bit ecumenical. So that's the real Infinity Pool. Um, yeah, I can only recommend this to people who are already into this kind of heightened genre film, but at the same time, you will get so much from it. I think it could do a little bit more with its themes. I think it could be tighter. It's 2 hours, pretty much on the button. It could probably lose 15, 20 minutes and not suffer for it. But that's small potatoes. Everybody on here is phenomenal. Mia Goth steals the show again, as she consistently does. There are elements of other films that you will pick up in here, from, I don't know, Eyes Wide Shut, to Get Out, even. But it is uniquely Cronenbergian, and frequently that word is now becoming Brandon, not David. So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommended. This one of my films of the year so far. So yeah, Infinity Pool, check it out. The quote in the bottom from Empire magazine says it's an insane thrill ride. No, no, it's not that kind of movie. It's not. It's not fucking Fast and the Furious. Jesus Christ, an insane thrill ride. It's a ride, but it's more of a journey, a long night's journey into the human soul. And it is insane. It is thrilling, but it's not an insane thrill ride. It's not a roller coaster. So ignore that quote. Listen to me, not Empire Magazine, for goodness sake. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. So I'm enjoying being back. Hope you're enjoying having me back. Until I'm doing 3 in a row. I'm taping 3 in a row tonight, so this will probably just be until tomorrow then, when I will be reviewing. I'll leave you in tenterhooks. But yes, another new film coming tomorrow. So until then, stay very safe out there, and love, and indeed mercy.